Hi guys, this is ckrusch. I'm live again here at the domain.me suite, and I am here to interview with Scot Safon. Isn't that great? Well, he's going to tell you how to pronounce his name well, because I know I can't. And he is here for us to pick his brain and talk about, marketing, TV, television. And I have a lot of questions. Hopefully, we'll be able to have them all. He has not prepared. I wanted to disclose that. He doesn't even know what I'm going to ask him, but we're here for an informal chat at domain.me. So let's see how it goes, okay? Thank you so much, and let's switch the camera. Scot, would you mind introducing yourself and telling us all about you?
Yes, my name is Scot Safon. I've spent my career in media marketing and content strategy. I've worked for very large entertainment and media companies my entire career. Spent about 11 years as the head of marketing for a U.S. cable network called TNT, and then 11 years as 8 years as the chief marketing officer of CNN worldwide, and 3 years running a cable network here called HLN, which used to be Headline News, and it focused, while I was running it, on crime and sort of bad behavior stories. And then I was the chief marketing officer at the Weather Channel, and now I do consulting, although I think I'm probably going to go back into the media world because it's too much fun to be inside it.
That's really impressive.
I'm also a dad of 2 daughters, one in college and one a senior in high school.
This is awesome. I'm sure that's your most proud moment.
It is.
We're just talking about it.
Well, parenthood, obviously, we talk about work-life balance issues all the time at work and in life, and it's probably the stuff you do in your life informs your work all the time, and it should. So I don't ever sweat how much time I spend on one versus the other, because they're feeding each other all the time.
So I have a tough question for you. I'm in a point of my blogging career where my blog is growing tremendously. We have great traffic. I have great following on my channels, but I would love, and I love TV, I love videos. What kind of advice would you give to bloggers that want to branch into doing TV segments as an expert in their industry and do more of that? I would love to hear some insights if you do have some advice.
The first thing, the most important thing, is to understand what inside your content or your persona is driving your popularity. If you see that you're growing very fast, you should take a very close, very forensic almost look at what is driving your success, because a lot of times, in television, when we're programming, we try a lot of things, and the thing that catches fire because an audience picks it up, we take a lot of our cues from that and want to do more of it. So as a blogger, if you see I've published content about this and this and this, that third article, because it was about personal relationships or about personal finance or about politics, just took off, you should, just for your own good, be looking at going, what did I say there? What that combination of the topic that I picked and the way I said it really caught on with people. I really touched a nerve there. I probably have more to say in this space. I should think more about this. That same thing that drove your appeal to audiences would be the thing that you would focus on in pitching yourself to television.
That's a great tip, because I've been using that for a strategy for my blog and my social, to be carried out through my social media, but I never thought about using that as a strength to maybe help with.
Well, because ultimately, when you pitch to television, when you pitch yourself to television, you want to say, the bottom line on this is always, I'm very relevant about something important that's going on in the world that your audiences are talking about. I have something very distinctive to say, and a lot of people follow it. A lot of people are listening to me. Those 3 things together would help a producer or a booker at a show go, that person might be great to have on television. They might be good television. See, a lot of a mistake that sometimes authors or bloggers make is they think that
I love hearing about the mistakes. Tell me everything.
Well, a mistake that people make sometimes is they think, I write a lot about education And no one covers education on television. I could be the person who talks about education on television. The mistake there is nobody wants to see coverage of education on television. Not because education's not important. Education is something you write about and read about and discuss amongst yourselves. It's terrible on television. It's not interesting. It's just not.
That's a wow moment, right, guys? Can I have some hearts for that? I didn't know that.
Yes,
awesome.
it's surprising. Now, there's not to say that I think that people who work in the entire news industry would say education might be the most important issue we deal with, but we can rarely put it on television because it doesn't generate a lot of, the only time that education will work on television when somebody comes up with a very provocative idea like we should pay students to get good grades. And then everybody goes, what? Or we should fire teachers if they do this or that. Like those hot button issues might get on television, might be worth bringing in experts and having a debate on. But general, like how do we make things better in the schools, most important issue in most of our lives, terrible on television. It's just not that interesting to watch people talk. It might be interesting to read, might be interesting to others. So in general, not just education, there's lots of issues that make for very good blog copy that wouldn't be good on TV, because TV is a hot medium. It's a medium where people have to be emotional or have to press a button that prompts a response. That's what television is kind of for, or telling a very in-depth story about something else. But when it comes to just discussion, it needs to be hot.
And for other bloggers that are watching, we have a couple bloggers right now watching you. Would you have one or two tips on how they would get started to get contact? Who should they contact? How to get started with that?
I think the best thing to do is to try every opportunity to get on camera anywhere. So you would have something to send to somebody. Like if you're interviewed by a local television station because Halloween's coming up and you have a word of warning to parents, or you have an interesting idea about how to craft a new way to approach Halloween, whatever it is, or you're alarmed about crime rates, whatever it is, try to get a local look at getting yourself on tape. So you have an example to send to another producer or to somebody else to say on a bigger platform.
Thank you for the hearts, guy.
Oh, good. But to send to somebody else, we're in a position right now where it's so easy to share video that you get that video. First of all, you post it on your own blog saying, I was really happy to talk about this today on the air, and then that gets shared with other people, or you share it with producers. They want to see evidence that you are confident on television, that you have a strong point of view, that you are a very good talker, basically. Okay,
so I wanted to bring now the ball to my court. I was featured last year on the David Muir, the national news. Okay, I was there, and they actually had a whole segment at my house that was filmed. We spent the whole day filming, and I talked about cell phone usage and social media, and it was amazing.
How did you come to their attention?
They contacted me
because they liked your blog.
I was referred by a blogger when they were looking for somebody to do that, and she referred me. And after the conversation on the phone, I was in. They were at my house the next day. So, and
what do you think?
I made a whole blog. So my question to you is, I never capitalized that. I never used that. So my blog. Don't get me wrong. I have a media page for my blog. But I love the experience. I wanted them to stay longer than I would be talking for a longer time, and we had a great relationship. But how do you go from there because that was huge exposure for me. I had
that
millions
is
of
huge.
people watching me. So.
That's huge. Well, I would honestly, first of all, okay, so you have a great piece then to share with people, so that's good.
Yes.
Yeah, but you have a great piece from the air to share, and it was an important show. Yes. So that's first. Now you look for something that's happening that's in the culture or in the news cycle that's very relevant to what they interviewed you about. Like, let's say, when there's a social media issue related to a school shooting or something like that, and people start to deconstruct somebody's social media life or whatever, and you can say, look, I'm very relevant on this topic. Here's an example of something else I did on World News Tonight. whatever. But you target the shows that you want to be on. And you outreach to a producer at those shows and or the booking person, but a producer. And it could be a low-level producer, too.
Yes, I was going to ask.
Yeah, it could be anybody. Anybody who's producing on that show. Television is a very collaborative effort, more so than people think. And a low-level producer sometimes is your best advocate because they're like, I found somebody great. That's the best thing a young producer can say in an editorial meeting. And they're like, who could we have to do this? We don't want to see the same people. We'd like to see a mom who's also an authoritative blog. We want to see it this. We want to see that. A young producer goes, I have somebody. That's their favorite day. Their favorite day at work ever is when they produce. So sometimes they're a motivated advocate for you. If you go up at the top, everybody's going up at the top. And they look, and it's a good way to get noticed too, but you have to be directly on point with that person because that person's getting 700 pitches a day. And they're like going for the easiest, most thing. The junior person who doesn't always get a chance to walk in saying, I've discovered somebody.
I have an idea.
Right, I found a great person. Look at this. Then they get to be the hero, they get to be your advocate, and they'll follow it up.
That's a great tip. Thank you for the love, guys. Thank you for the hearts. They're hearting you up.
Yay. Look,
amazing tip. I love it.
Well, I think what you do, I mean, I've worked in this field a lot, and even though I've been a marketing head at these places, but even when I ran a television network, the process was always the same. We would have an honest discussion, like in this news story, who are the voices of this story that we want to hear from? And the considerations were always, will they be able to be succinct? Will they press the button? Do they have a line of talk about it? To have people on who go, well, there's lots of ways to look at this story. It's an either or, sort of like, no. If you feel that way about a certain topic, we all do, that's not a topic you go on television for.
And I think I was passionate about it. And
yes.
When I talked to him on the phone, and that was a point that it was a decision making, because I know he interviewed a lot of other people before he chose me to be,
being passionate, being definitive, being able to back up what you say, especially with personal experience, all is good. All is good. You want to be good television. Think about who you like to see on television.
Absolutely.
And who you want to see.
You need to connect, right? Because that's what they want.
But a lot of times television, especially news television, is it's a very expedient world. So if something happens that is breaking in the news cycle, they're like, okay, who do we get? And they just jump on that. So it's like being available and being on somebody's mind. That's why I like some of the more junior and mid-level producers, because they're hot for that.
Okay, well, I have my last question because you have another interview right after me. Before I ask the last question, I wanted to thank you so much for all your insight.
Great questions. Very interesting topic.
And watch it again. So the last question I have is, would you have a good piece of advice of a new blogger? We have a couple new bloggers watching too, and they're starting to grow in the blogging world and the writing. And what piece of advice would you give to them so they continue to grow their blogging or the business or the marketing? Because I believe to be successful as a blogger, you need to be good on marketing yourself. And marketing yourself as a brand. I consider myself a brand.
Yes, well, you definitely are a brand, and anybody starting a blog is doing that. I think the most important thing is to be clear about what you want to be famous for. That's what I will tell people in personal branding anyway. What do you want to be famous for? So when you're not in the room and somebody says, oh, you should read so-and-so, they're great on that, or they're just like you, or they know that topic really well. I think a lot of times people want to blog because they want to write about everything, and they want to do everything. It's not to say you can't, but that's not going to be the way to brand yourself. Brands are famous for things. And so the question I'll always ask somebody is, there's three questions, kind of. The first one is, what are you doing that's unique, like in your world, in your category? If you're a mom blogger, what's your difference? Are you a mom blogger who has, who's disabled? Are you a mom blogger who deals with this? Are you a mom blogger who's over 60? I mean, like, what is your distinctiveness and everything? The second question is, what do you want to be famous for? Like, what do you want people to think of you as? If you were writing your book, what's the title of that book, even if you're years away from writing that book? And the third thing is, how do you want to promote yourself? People usually, like, what is your tagline or your this? But people usually do that first. They try to answer that first. They're like, I have a good tagline, or I have a good, it's like, don't worry about your tagline. Taglines are not important. Or
you're getting a lot of hearts for that. Don't worry about your tagline.
Don't worry about that. Okay. You worry first about what kind of content do you want to be famous for? What are your issues? What are your things? Because then when you pitch yourself, you don't want to pitch yourself for everything. When a news story emerges, when a thing emerges, you want to be the person everyone turns to because you've been on that topic from the beginning. You know that topic better than anybody else. You're willing to say things that other people wouldn't say or couldn't say because you know that area.
I love that. It's amazing. I could spend the whole day talking with you. Don't you guys? Somebody saying, yeah, totally. I love it. And so I'm going to switch the camera just a little. Hi. Thank you so much, guys, for joining us. I hope you are as excited as I am. I hope you learned as much as I did. As usual, if you want to watch the scope back, it's going on my blog tonight. It's going to be saved on my blog. So I hope you visit us. This is Claudia from Trailer Latina at the domain.me suite. Thank you so much for the hearts, for the love, and for being here with me, sharing the interview, okay? Would you like to say a
Yes, well, I think it's great that you're spending time thinking about this issue and talking about this issue and doing the hard work. And if you really devote yourself to it with all the passion you bring to your writing and you're thinking about all of this, you will find your audience and everything. That's the most important part of marketing, is being authentic, working with passion, and the audience and will find you.
Okay. Thank you so much.